That's his chin. Get a profile shot. Profile shot.
Yeah.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone, I'm like, them.
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart, but sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Go.
But therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?
Okay, this is What Do We Know? I'm Mark.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Brian.
Hey, that was pretty good.
Well, except you said, what do we know first?
Well, that's fine.
We famously struggle with our introduction, even though we've done it 800 times at this point.
So, Brian, you're not Jeff.
No, I'm not. I'm a much more handsome version.
Okay. So we couldn't have Jeff on the show today, so we have our friend Brian come in and take over his place. Is this going to be a permanent thing? Probably
We
not.
hope so.
But we'll see how well Brian does.
No.
Poor
So,
Jeff.
well, I think Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff is in Seattle this weekend.
Oh, is he
something-
seeing?
Yeah, doing something with like the Mind Crack podcast. I think, if I'm
Oh,
not mistaken.
cool.
Mhm.
So,
Good for him.
yeah. So today, in his absence, we're going to be talking about Guinness World Records.
Okay.
This was actually a topic suggested by Brian,
Yeah, I know how this works.
which then Brian proceeded to do zero research on.
All right. Let's set the record straight. In fact, I could pull up the text messages.
Oh,
I- Mike asked me, "Do you have a topic to talk about?" I said, "No, but I'll think about it." About a day later, I came back with the world records, and he said, "That's possible. Like, what do you think about it?" And so I said, "I don't know, that they're a little outrageous." And then that was end of conversation. There was no like, "Oh, great, go do research. We'll talk about it." It was, that's it. So I figured, well, you guys probably have something up your sleeves that's better than that, and here we are.
Well, we've gotten increasingly good at dragging out stuff we know very little about. So,
yeah.
I mean, we have to fill a 45-minute window every week.
Okay, Mike, hit me. First Guinness World Record, something that's amazing.
Well, okay, so I actually took the time, did my research, and I came up with a little game for us to play here.
All right.
I have some world records, some of which are actual Guinness Book World Records, and some are complete and utter nonsense that I made up.
Okay.
Tell me which is which. All right, you ready?
Ready.
I'm going to keep a tally system, Brian versus me.
You know what? I can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Please do.
Is this a contest?
It
Yeah,
is.
of course. The
Okay.
loser has to punch themselves or something like that.
I'm super happy that I came up with a game, and I'm not.
I don't know why I said that. That seems like a really stupid thing to bet.
Oh. See, you know what? It does pay to actually go out of your way and do some show homework once in a while. Because I don't have to punch myself now. All right.
Okay, I guess we're agreed. Brian has no say in this at all.
And actually, now that there's a punching yourself in the face aspect to this, I have a weird feeling you guys are just going to agree with the same answer.
Yeah, it's like, are we tied? Are we tied? Let's just keep
Yeah,
playing.
still tied. Yeah. All right, here we go. True or false? The longest uninterrupted live podcast, the world record for, obviously, 24 hours long. This was achieved by Dan Schmeiser and Alex Gardner. The podcast, which was a fan cast for the television show 24, released to the public exactly 24 hours before the season finale.
All right. So, Brian, do you want to go first?
Real world record or a fake one?
That's a real world record.
And I would say false. I'm sure it has to be longer than 24 hours.
So, that is completely false. I I made up every single aspect of that. In fact, when I Googled longest podcast record or something like that, I could find 0 results. So I don't even know if there is such a record.
That was incredibly made up. I mean, that was totally viable. It's like, well, 24 hours seems short, but the fact that they did it before the season finale of 24 made total sense.
Right.
Well, that's why I included that little snippet.
It's very well done. Very well
All right,
done.
so-
Now I have to disagree with Mark, and you have to answer first this time.
I'm just gonna go and vote.
Now Mark's going to agree with Brian every time.
All right. Well, I'll go first. True or false, so Brian can disagree if he wants.
That's the plan.
All right, so the next one. The fastest... What?
True.
True. The fastest observed cloud speed. It was during Hurricane Iniki on September 9th, 1992. The weather vessel, the Fact Finder, measured the speed of an influx nimbus cloud at 213 miles per hour, despite the hurricane only reaching Category 4 classification before dissipating halfway between Hawaii and Alaska. True or false?
See, and it's for me. I want to say false because nimbus clouds tend to be like the more grouped clouds. So if they're going at a fast speed, I would think that it would be more of those higher level clouds.
I say true.
So Mark says false, Brian says true. That is complete and utter nonsense. Just
I'm beating you with science.
And actually, Mark, you were kind of dead on with the whole nimbus cloud thing. Those are low hanging. The fast clouds are way up high. And that is an actual hurricane, and it did take place on Hawaii and dissipate halfway between Hawaii and Alaska.
How hard do I have to hit myself in the head?
Depends on how much you're losing by. If it's a lot, I would say pretty hard.
So at least on that one, like aspects of this were true, because that hurricane is an actual thing. It did happen on that date. In fact, that date was the day that it changed from a tropical storm to a hurricane. So I did my homework there.
Please tell me you only have 3 questions.
No, we have several more. All right. Fastest internet connection for a country is South Korea, with an average download throughput of 33.5 megabits per second, almost 3 times the speed of second place Hong Kong, and an average upload throughput of 17 megabits per second, more than twice that of second place Hong Kong.
This seems unfair.
What was the speed of the download?
33.
33.5 megabits per second.
And this is the average for the country, right?
Average for the country, yes.
True.
I also say true.
That is absolutely true.
Actually, I knew that answer was true because I lived in Korea, and I knew how incredibly fast their internet was, and I've read studies about how fast. So it was okay.
I
Brian, you saved yourself.
I thought it might throw you off by putting that in there because I knew you had experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. The tallest mountain is Mauna Kea on the island of Hawaii. The mountain itself is actually 33,480 feet, of which 13,796 are above sea level.
This is the tallest, not
The tallest mountain.
Tallest as in like how many
Length.
feet?
It's the total length.
The
Okay.
total,
Even
Highest
including
is highest above sea level.
correct.
Oh, should I go first?
No.
I don't know. How you guys want to play this? I don't really care.
All right, I'll go first anyways. True.
He seems oddly confident in that, so I also say true.
It is true.
I just happened to
Mark gets a smug look on his face when he knows the answer.
Uh-oh,
So,
Brian
pretty
found
sure-
a tell in Mark.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know how to win this game now.
The thing is, I have to be wrong. So you're just gonna follow me, and you're gonna stay 2 points behind. You'll have to risk it somewhere. And it's really funny that you said I look smug, because that's what my wife says all the time. Like, yeah, smug face, walking around with my smug face.
All right, here we go. You ready? Get serious.
Right.
All right, the most dangerous ant in the world. It is the bulldog ant from coastal Australia. It has killed at least 3 people since 1936. It earned its name because of the ferocity and determination during an attack. In an attack, the ant holds on to the victim with its long-toothed mandibles and curls its body underneath and thrusts its long stinger into its skin. So it bites you and stings you in unison.
So I'm actually familiar with the bulldog ant. I know that actually in some tribal areas, when you have like a cut on your arm, they would actually have the bulldog ant bite, and they would basically be their sutures for their cuts. But I'm actually sort of at a toss-up for this, because what was the claim? They're the most deadly ant?
The most dangerous ant in the world.
Right. And while that seems like that would make them like the most dangerous, I don't know. I know that a lot of other types of ants are dangerous because of the way they attack in groups. So I'm gonna have to go with false.
I was just gonna say false.
Without any reasoning at all.
No, you just seem too excited about it, Mike. I don't know anything about the bulldog ant.
So you're
I know we
reading
have
Mike.
a lot of
now.
furry ants in Florida, and they're terrible. So,
Well, the reason you read excitement on my face was because it was more shock, is what it was, that Mark was familiar at all with the bulldog ant. I had never heard of it until I looked in the Guinness World Record books and saw that it was the most dangerous ant.
Well, maybe individually that ant might be considered the most dangerous.
Apparently it is, because I only took, short snippets of the records or whatever, but apparently it bites repeatedly, not just once.
Well, because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure there's other types of ants that have killed more people than the bulldog ant, but it could be one of those things like one ant has killed more people.
And that could be
like one
too,
bite.
because I read somewhere that one sting from this ant has the ability to kill a human in like 15 minutes or something crazy.
That's pretty serious.
I don't know. All right.
So we're still tied.
No.
I'm losing by 2.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mark
mean, that's
has
not that. That's
4.
what, like we're still like the same score. That's what I meant.
You're still
Yes.
not the same score at all.
No, I mean like I'm still in the lead by 2 points. Yes.
All right.
So we're all tied up then. Good. All right.
Right.
I like how this game is working out.
There's still a handful. You got time to make your move. I suggest you start doing it quickly, but you got time. You got some time. All right.
Remember, the more we separate, the harder you gotta punch. So if you
I
take
don't really anticipate getting myself that hard. The nice thing about the distance between the computers is no one's going to force me to do this.
I'm flying down to Florida to make you do this.
Oh, what'd I do? Hold on. Stand by. All right. Longest time breath held. I worded that really poorly. So the world record for that is 22 minutes even by Stig Severinsen of Denmark at the London School of Diving on May 3rd, 2012.
False.
I'll go true on this one.
It is true.
How could you possibly survive 22 minutes?
That was why I threw that in there, actually, because I saw it and I said, that's unbelievable that a human can do that.
Right. So one of the things that you learn about people that could hold their breath for a very long time is they'll actually go, when they do these kind of dives, like pearl diving and stuff, they actually slow down their heart rates, right? They basically expend less energy. They tie rocks on their legs or some kind of weight to drop them into deeper pressure. And they basically they breathe really heavily before they do these dives, so they have an extra amount of oxygen in their blood system, and then they slow down their body, and the cold water helps, so they can actually stay down longer. The minutes, like what you said, like 22 minutes flat or something like that.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that's sort of like, that seems pretty exact, right? But
yeah, that was exactly what I liked about this one, that it was 22 minutes, which seemed crazy long to me, and that it was an even number seemed weird to me too. So
all
right, let's calm down. We got some more to go. Oh, I didn't give you a score for that. Hold on. It's almost mathematically impossible for Brian to come back.
Yes. Can he tie? Can he tie?
We're still tied. All right. Most jelly beans eaten.
Was it by Reagan?
What?
Was it by Reagan?
No.
Okay.
Professional eating champion Joey Chestnut ate 102 jelly beans of various flavors in 1 minute during the Jelly Belly World Championship held in Los Angeles, California on August 24, 2006. It was the 30th anniversary celebration of the Jelly Belly Candy Company.
False. You could eat way more jelly beans than that in a minute.
102?
Are you kidding?
I can't imagine eating 102 jelly beans in 10 minutes.
Two every second. Just swallow them. You don't have to actually eat them. You don't have to chew them. It's like a pill.
Well, at least you have a method of it.
If that's the world record, then we're going to do another What Do We Know, and I'm going to break it.
I would love to see that, actually.
So Jimmy Chestnut's the one that keeps winning the Nathan J's hot dog eating contest. So it's very likely that he is the world champion, if it's not one of the Japanese guy that Jimmy Chestnut replaced.
Joey Chestnut.
Chestnut.
I can't remember his name now.
Ichiro something.
Kobayashi.
Yeah, Kobayashi. So I'm thinking it might be even held by Kobayashi, because he got actually expelled from the Nathan J's hot dog eating contest. So I'm gonna go the opposite of Brian. What did Brian say? False? I'll say true.
That is false. It is absolutely false. In fact, I couldn't find a jelly bean eating world record. I was kind of surprised by that, actually.
What made you think of these ideas that you're like, well, I want to look at jelly beans and I want to look at the tallest mountain with half of it underwater? And I mean, what was your thinking behind this?
So part of it was just go to the Guinness page, and the most popular records I thought were interesting, I pulled off of there. And there's also a search on the Guinness site, so I searched kind of topical things that I thought were interesting. And not much more to it than that. And then, obviously I just made up bizarre stories when I couldn't find something I liked. So, all right. So we have, Brian got that one right. Hold on.
Yeah, 1-3. Coming back, the odds are ever in my favor.
No, it's not in your favor.
Brian must be getting psyched for the new Hunger Games movie. So I'm pretty sure the past, 3 movies are probably the last 3 movies I've seen in theaters.
The Hunger Games?
Yeah, because my daughter is big into the series.
I see.
I like Katniss.
Yeah, we're gonna go see the new one for sure.
Yeah, I thought the last one was kind of weak, actually. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like that they divide out the endings into two just to make more money.
I know. They didn't need to drag this out into another movie.
Oh, they did.
Okay, I don't want to get too deep into this, but like the worst example of this has to be The Hobbit. Like, it's a short
Hobbit
book, and it was
garbage.
stretched so far out and so thin. It just
Yeah.
really pissed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I was a huge like Lord of the Rings movie fan,
Right.
but The Hobbit, I never made it through like any of them. I don't think. I think I've seen bits and pieces, just sort of on accident. But yeah,
Did
never
you guys-
really.
Did you guys read The Hobbit?
Yeah. Several
Yeah,
times.
I mean, it's a small, easy read. I couldn't believe when they were going to put it into 3 movies.
Yeah.
And then they added so much to it that was never there.
Right.
It just, the whole thing was ridiculous. It was terrible. Even with, like, I love the Lord of the Rings movies, and it couldn't even stand up to it. And then they brought Legolas into it because
Right.
he's the only cool guy, him and Gandalf, to come back
Right.
just to make the movie better. It was a terrible disappointment, and unfortunately, like, my wife and I, we do this thing where, you know, I can drag her to some movies that I want to see, and I really kind of spent all of my movies. So I'm never getting to see another movie I want to see again.
You make horrible choices.
All right. Well, okay. I'm gonna try to give Brian a little bit of an advantage here,
Uh-oh.
since he is down by 2.
Okay.
We have 2 left,
All right.
and I will let Brian choose the category. I don't know if that'll help or not, but we'll let him see what you pick your poison. Basically, is what's happening here. All right, we have a world record for the largest taco, or we have a world record for the longest bingo game participation.
Oh.
Can I just tell my true and falses right now?
Not even hearing. That's how you like to roll.
I don't even need to hear them. Taco's true and bingo's false. Guaranteed. Mark, you have to go the opposite of that.
I do. Maybe I want to hear Maybe I want to hear them first.
All right. I would.
All right.
Let's start with bingo, please. I'll take bingo.
The longest bingo game participation was 58 hours by Paula Gordon from Racine, Wisconsin on June 14, 2008. The marathon was staged in a temporary hall that was erected at the city fairgrounds to raise breast cancer awareness. During her time, Paula competed against a rotating group of fairgoers. She won at least a share of 26 prizes during her session.
God, that does sound plausible. I still say false.
I'm gonna
The
say
taco. Let's just read. I'll read the taco, and you guys can decide what way you want to go. Largest taco is 1,654 pounds and was made by several chefs in the city of Mexicali in Baja California, Mexico on March 8th. And I left off the year. I'm not sure why. It was 35.9 feet long and 33.8 inches wide.
I'm sorry. This is Brian just going to town on the soccer. Can't even concentrate.
That's part of my game.
Very effective. Okay, so Brian, what do you say about the taco? Has to be true.
Taco's true and bingo's false. I'm sticking with both.
All right, I want to say tacos false, bingo true.
I was not prepared for Brian to tie this up.
Whoa! Wow! I should have just stuck with it.
Wow.
I was not prepared.
So we both have to punch ourselves, right? I mean, I would. Brian, put your face to the screen. Put your face to the screen. Ready?
Oh,
I don't know if that's.
how did that look, Mike?
Actually,
I feel like there should have been a better way to break that tie, but
Screw ties. You both lose. We both lose. wait. Oh, okay. Let me get out this Guinness World fact, and I found this one particularly interesting because of Brian. So the longest tongue, when you measure it out, you have to go from the tip of the tongue to the very back, which is near your throat, right? So there's really no way to actually measure this until the person's dead and you remove the tongue. But you can measure from when your mouth is closed to the tip of your tongue. While the average human tongue is about 4 inches in its entirety, from the tip to all the way to the back of the throat. Nick Strolberg or whatever, he goes from the mouth to the tip of the tongue 4 inches. So it's like almost 8 inches in length, right?
Wow.
But Brian, I know you have a very freaking long tongue, so I thought it would be appropriate for you to show off how long your tongue is.
Well, I can't guarantee the color of it because I've been eating this sucker, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
So,
That's his chin. Get a profile shot.
Yeah.
but the cool thing about my tongue was once I got my tonsils removed, I was actually able to swallow it, so I can put it back here, and I'm willing to show you because
show us.
This is a talent very few people have. So.
I don't
So
even
you see my uvula comes forward. Do you see that?
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's really weird because you say that's like an ability, right? But I remember when I was a kid, somebody's having a seizure, you're like, put a belt in their mouth so they don't swallow their tongue.
Yeah,
I Brian does it on purpose.
No, I swallow it like multiple times a day. I mean, it's just something I do. But I'll show you why. I'll show you why my tongue's longer than yours. I don't think it's that we actually have longer tongues. It's that, and I don't know what the word is, but the connection right here.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is a lot longer. So like I can put mine on the roof of my mouth.
Yeah, that's much. Yeah.
Which can you do that?
No, not even close.
Yeah. That's how it comes out so far. You know.
Okay, so I have this question, which of course we didn't do our research, so we don't, know the answer.
Come on, I did some research. How dare
Okay, Mike did his research, so maybe you know, Mike.
I'm sure I do.
How do they decide what is a world record? And
that's the whole. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I got excited.
No. Okay, Brian.
Well, that's the whole reason I brought this up was because it seems like, I think my example for Mike was like the longest time. Well, what did I even say? Like the longest time standing on one foot while riding an elevator in Chicago for 40 floors.
Blinking. You said blinking.
Blinking. Yeah. It's just like, it's the most random stuff that to me,
right.
It doesn't qualify as a world record. It qualifies as some jackass just doing something stupid.
I think
this is going to count.
I feel like Brian's just jealous that he didn't think of blinking 55 times in an elevator.
I'm about to set the most jelly beans in a minute.
Get recorded. Do it, man.
Call up Guinness. It's about to happen.
Well, I think that's part of it. Is they have to have Guinness agree to it.
I'm pretty sure, like I read somewhere or saw something on TV or something at one point that you have to. Number one, it has to be like an official world record. And I'm not sure how they decide what is a world record and what isn't in their book. But if they decide that it's worthy of
their book.
World record consideration, well, I actually meant in their book.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean, I thought it was you. That wasn't a pun. That was literally.
Okay.
But so if they decide it's worthy, I think they have actual representatives that come out and watch you do it and maybe even record you, and it's all like certified, and they have people just who do that.
Okay. The reason why I asked this question is I noticed that some of these records are held by males and females, like the most something by a man, and then they have one that goes with it, the most something by a woman. And I know a lot of these records are held by men, and then sometimes women come in and try to beat that record or whatever, but they accomplish something, and they're like, oh, this is the record held by a man, this is the record held by a woman. But one of the things that I came across was the most apples crushed with a bicep in 1 minute. And that's held by Lindsay Lindbergh. So my question is, if a guy went and attempt to beat her record and fails, would they at least get like the most apples crushed with a bicep in 1 minute by a man? Would that be added, or is it just like doesn't matter what sex it is? This is what we think. She's like a unisex.
So I feel like as a guy,
okay.
like we have to kind of take a back seat. I got to be careful how I say this, but like if you so to want to have your own, because a woman beat a man at something, like that's just sort of its own thing.
Okay.
I think. So I'm not sure you create another record at that point. But when you're talking about like crushing an apple, and actually when you say crushing apples with your bicep, like obviously you don't really think female just because the female form is kind of less in stature than guys just sort of in general.
On average, but it doesn't mean the extremes.
Right. So like it's kind of surprising that that's the record that is held by a woman over a guy. So I don't really think you sort of create that special category in this circumstance.
Okay. Well, I mean, I also sort of wonder, I mean, maybe this is the way Guinness decides. Like there's a male, there's a female, and they're going to be two separate records. Doesn't matter who actually holds the lead. So let's say there's a record for running a mile within a certain amount of time, and it's held by a guy, and there's one that's less speed with a woman. If the woman outpaces the man, right, does it in a short amount of time, they would still be separate, I think, like held by a woman, held by a man.
Well, I think the record separation probably came at a point where we were trying to be more, sexually unbiased.
Yeah.
Or, gender unbiased is what I...
No, to give an opportunity for people.
Right, for women to break records. So now, back when the woman version of that record came into being, women weren't as, highly training and stuff like that. Whereas now, women get out there and work just as hard as guys at stuff like that. So now I don't think it's that big of a, it's not that unusual, I guess, that women are hanging right there around the men's marks, but we've established these two separate records long ago.
Right. Another one that I found really interesting was the tallest teenager. And I just, Brock Brown, he's the tallest teenager, world record holder. And I just thought it was sort of a weird way to determine like it's not like the world's tallest man or the world's tallest whatever. It's like teenager. I don't know. To me, that just seemed very odd.
That's what I'm talking about. Like you could have the tallest tween, and then you could have the tallest
baby,
middle schooler, and the tallest kindergarten. Yeah, like it's when do you stop? When do you stop? The women and the men, I think I get a little bit more, but there has to be. I think Guinness needs to set its own demographics where like these are. If we're gonna do ages, these are the 4 groups of ages that we do. Right? These are the I don't know, whatever you want to do, they need to set a standard, I think, for their book that says this is what we're going to go by. And if you want to compete in it, then you can by being the tallest teenager, because teenager is one of our categories.
So to me, when you start breaking it down like that.
They already broke it down like that, though.
Right, but just in like certain, so I find whenever I look through the Guinness World Records, like it's very kind of hit or miss on what is a record and what's not a record. And like when I was searching for this stuff, like it was very surprising, like when I looked at the jelly bean eating things, like there's a record for like eating jalapenos, and there's a record for eating hot dogs and asparagus. Like, it was very random, the things that there's eating records for. So when you talk about getting into, we're going to have 4 age classes, and we're going to have gender classes, and maybe even race classes, break it down however you want to break it down, Like, I feel like that could be a full-time job for many, many people at Guinness. And I've also kind of feel like the Guinness Book of World Records has sort of gone way kind of past its prime at this point. Like, I hadn't even glanced at the Guinness World Record page until Brian said, "Hey, let's talk about it."
Well, do you think world records should be held by something that you accomplish or somebody can beat, or do you think it should just be like naturally occurring? Like the tallest teenager, that person didn't do anything, I don't think, to become the tallest teenager. He just happened to be the tallest teenager, right? But like you have people like the Duchess, who has the longest fingernails, and that's like dedicating, I don't even know, like 30 years of your life just growing your damn fingernails and taking care of them. And I can't even imagine basically not being able to use your arms and hands for anything.
Yeah, you basically don't have hands at that point. That's miserable. Just to get your name in a book. Like, what do they really get? Do they get paid for that? I don't even know.
I'm sure there's something. But I mean, like the jelly bean thing, or some of these other records, like how many hot dogs?
I made up the jelly bean record.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying these are things that are attainable. Like, Brian, if he trains really, really, really hard, maybe he can swallow like 150 or 300 jelly beans in a minute. That's something. That's an accomplishment, even though it's like the blinking on the elevator. It's a made-up accomplishment. Like, I can do it, and I did it.
Not as many times as me. I'm the record holder.
You know what? Next week's podcast is just gonna, Mark and Brian are gonna blink the whole show, and Jeff and I are gonna count each one of us. Who blinks the most on a podcast?
Don't forget the record holding for the counting the most blinks. So the blinker and the person recording the blinking.
It's gonna go to whomever's counting mine, because I'm gonna have the most blinks.
Actually, it's gonna go to 2 minutes in. Jeff and I are gonna be bored, and we're gonna stop counting.
Just make up numbers. But we'll have an agreement that the loser has to punch themselves.
Well, then we'll make you tie again for sure. All right, guys, we gotta get out of here.
All right.
We learned a lot. Learned a lot about world records today.
Yes, we did.
And Brian's song.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on and helping out. I'm sure Jeff is having a blast in Seattle and not thinking about us at all. And we'll be back next week, I think, with a full crew. But we'll see. Maybe Brian will be back. Who knows?
I'd love to come back.
All right.
Goodbye.
Yeah, don't count on me. See you guys.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?